So as of yesterday, I was in Ohio dealing with a deposition. Y'all usually don't even see depositions because, well, they're not televised. But as we are going through this Epstein drama, it has been really helpful that I have a trained attorney, because I sit in that room and I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm trying to get a clear record so that if we ever get an administration that believes in justice and wants to actually prosecute, that we will have this information on the record. So as of yesterday, yesterday I came back from Ohio, that's right, and I was in Austin. So I didn't get home until maybe 2 a.m. or so. And this is my third stop this morning. So
you look incredible.
We're going to keep pushing. This is what it is. We are in crunch time. And I think that as a public servant who is asking for another job, I have to show up. So here I am.
Thank you so much for sharing space. So we have a couple questions, and then we'll get some questions from our crowd that's shown up for you today. Our Democrats have been showing up to the polls, and as of 12 hours ago, we've had almost 18,000 voters. 18,000 voters. That's 3,000 surpassing Republicans at early voting. That's you, Tarrant County. Taylor Remnant just flipped Senate District Seat 9. And so I want to ask you, how are you harnessing this powerful momentum that's happening in Texas? Because we can all feel that something very big is happening in Texas.
Absolutely. Listen, I am so ecstatic. Tarrant County, many of you may not know this unless you're in my district, but I represent both Dallas and a portion of Tarrant. Tarrant has always done me better than Dallas, if I'm being honest. I've always been stronger. So I'm like, okay, no, we're always happening in Tarrant. So there's two counties that I check. First thing is always Dallas and Tarrant. And knowing that you have some powerhouses that are running countywide, I am so encouraged to see not only that you have an increase, but that you are outpacing the Republicans. I think that this is going to be Tarrant County's actual year-to-date win. So you bring up Taylor, and Taylor's amazing. I've known Taylor for years. He's a labor guy, so known for years. But there's something to be said for people being able to see it. You see, for a long time, people were trying to convince us of what we couldn't do, and frankly, the only limitation was right here. And so, when you see a seat like that Senate seat decide to swing over 30 points, it makes other people say, no, wait a minute now, I got some power too in my votes. I may need to get out. Right after Taylor flipped that seat, probably about a week and a half or so later, there was a city race for a mayor. That was a +4 for Trump. A black woman in Leander was elected the mayor of Leander, and she swung that seat 17 points. The trend is holding strong. As someone who traveled this country, you know, as we had to deal with the fact that they wanted to get rid of our 5 seats in Texas, I went to California because California had our back. I also went to Pennsylvania that was trying to retain their judges because we wanted to make sure that if we tried to still another election, that the right judges were actually on the bench. I also went to Virginia where Abigail Spanberger was able to flip that seat and become the governor of Virginia. They had gone all around, and it was clear that the people were waking up. And so there's some people that don't feel like, you know, down south, we get in. But when we looked at the November 4th elections, we saw that in Mississippi they flipped 2 Senate seats. We also saw, after here recently in Louisiana, they just had a big Democratic win as well in a special election. We also know that in Georgia, they had 2 statewide wins when nobody was looking, also in November. So knew what we could do in Texas because Texas has one of the lowest voter turnouts in the entire country. We have been underinvested in, number one. Number two, the voter suppression is real. I'm sure y'all heard from Nicole a little bit earlier when we were down there in the house. Y'all know that they locked her on the floor. That is how serious they are about this. And if your policies are so great or if the state is so red, then why is it that you will go to extremes to incarcerate people? But now that you have seen it, I think it is so much easier to say, I believe in my vote. But more importantly, people are mad. They are mad. And frankly, we don't know really how long our democracy is going to exist at this point. This literally may be, and I am not trying to be an alarmist, but I am telling y'all, it is hanging by a thread. If we don't show up now, I don't know if we will have a chance to show up. He told you when he ran, if you vote for me this time, you won't have to vote again. Right before I left D.C., what he said was maybe we should federalize the elections. There are reports that they are planning to send ICE in November and have them intimidating voters at the polls. Y'all, this is serious. But I truly believe that I am preaching to the choir because you are showing up. But I am here to tell you that you got to push even harder. If you've already voted and you took one person, then go find another 10, 15, 20. We cannot let up now. Do not get comfortable. Do not get excited about these numbers. You cannot let up off the gas. Tarrant County, it is so important. You know, I care about the down ballot. I'm a down ballot candidate. That's where I've always been. It's this down ballot I'm talking about. The down ballot matters. You gotta have people like Nicole Collier that are going to be there to push back in that office. When it comes to the city, Mr. Nettles, y'all don't need them. They're the people. They're the people. And they see, so they're not on this ballot. But these congressional races, when they thought they were going to steal our seats, but they drew them tight. There's a saying that goes, what they meant for evil, God meant for good. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So here it is. There were Republicans that told me on the federal level, they said, listen, they told me, they said, we don't want them to mess with the lines. I said, well, don't tell me. Don't tell them. They were concerned because they didn't know how bad it was going to be. But the last time there was a midterm with Trump, it wasn't so good for them. So they were like, we don't want to mess with them because the more you mess with them, the tighter the seats are. I truly believe that if we work collectively, up and down the ballot, this can't be just top of the ballot. We have to work up and down together. If we work together, I believe that any seat that is drawn at an R+10, it is gone. I absolutely believe we will get those seats. And the good part about this election, one of the other things that makes it so unique, is for the first time since the 90s, which our last Democratic governor was a woman, just for people that don't realize that women come in and say why. Yeah. The people in the back will catch that later. Ann Richards won in the 90s. It is interesting if you know your history. There also was this, she's not electable thing.
Right.
Yeah, it tends to be said about women. But nevertheless, so here it was. This is the first time since the 90s that we have people running for state house, state senate, and U.S. House, up and down the ballot. We tend to leave over 40% of those races unfielded. That means that no one is going out and consistently engaging in conversations, and then you end up with somebody as incredible as Beto O'Rourke who has to go to all 254 counties. But we're going to work together. I just need y'all to keep pushing, keep believing, and we are going to do this. Tarrant County is going to be the story that everybody writes about. Because the Republicans about to get mad at y'all. I just want to be clear. You know, Harris County, they still reeling about Harris County, right? I don't know if y'all heard the reports, but the governor plans to spend $90 million in Harris County alone. $90 million in that one county to try to take it back. That is what he is projected to spend. But Dallas County, they don't have it. Travis County, they don't have it. Bexar County, they don't have it. Harris County, they don't have it. But when you go down the list, the one big county that is missing is Tarrant County. But it's about to be a new day in Tarrant.
Well, and that's entirely because of you and the momentum that you've brought to this, not just this race, but to this entire state. This feels different. This is different. And so I want to ask you, you talked about pushing still and driving, because our work isn't over and that we've got to work together. So in Tarrant County, our median age is 35. And I was talking to my dad the other day, who's not 35, just FYI. And he said this is the first time that he's felt like he can vote for something rather than against someone. And so I would just love for you to talk about how your representation and leadership as our next senator, cuts through all that division.
You know, it's a tough time in our country. I don't have to tell y'all. This race is very reminiscent of what it is for me to be in D.C. If I'm being perfectly honest, I have to fight like my colleagues a lot on my side of the aisle. And it's not that I'm not a team player, because I am. I had donated, my freshman term, it was over $600,000. After that, there's taking more money. I had consistently donated all around this country. But when things are falling apart, I just don't believe that it's business as usual. And so, I push some of my colleagues a little bit more than they want to be pushed. And when Republicans decide that they are going to try to ignore the facts or twist the facts, for instance, I had a moment where I broke down in committee right after Renee Good was billed. And we went into judiciary and we were doing markups for random bills. And I wasn't even going to go to markup because I was like, this is what it's not going to do. This is what we're doing. We got to work on new bills. This is all messed up. And, I'm like all over the place. And then the Democrats decided that what we would do is we would make that markup all about Brian Good. So we went in, and that's exactly what we did. But as I looked to the other side of the aisle, it had no heart, no compassion, and frankly, they were following along with this rhetoric of choose the domestic terrorists. I can't sit there and act as if this is normal. I can't sit there and act as if I should just say, okay, well, thank you, sorry, yes, this is like, that's not what this is. We have a president right now. Do y'all understand that the president is trying to invade another country yet again without the approval of Congress? Do y'all understand how perilous things are right now in this country? So, I will tell you that, I get that for some people, it's politics as usual, and let me just go and do what I normally do. But it's not. Mm-hmm. We are unsafe, whether we are talking about the international threats that we're facing, or whether we're talking about the lack of economic security that we have as our economy is shrinking, as we have lost over 1 million jobs in just 1 year and counting. And I don't know who's doing the counting because he don't want to do the reports no more. At the same time as literal federal officers are killing people in broad daylight, and there is no accountability. I think that people are frustrated. But I also think, from every poll that I have ever seen, in like the last 6 months, people are not just frustrated with the Republicans, they're frustrated with the Democrats. And so if I had to guess, it is because what I've heard consistently as I've traveled this country is that they are not seeing the fight. The one thing, even in the minority, people want to know that it is not business as usual and that you are going to go to the mat because it matters. And let me tell you what happens when you fight sometimes. Sometimes when you decide to hit a bully, especially one that decides that she wants to come for your lashes, you may end up knocking that bully out. The last time I said she ain't in Congress anymore. We have to fight. When it came down to the shutdown, Democrats held it down. Y'all, I was nervous. I didn't know how long it was going to hold it down. But the House held it down. Y'all know who failed us? The Senate. You know the reason that we have the Supreme Court that we currently have? The Senate. You know the reason that they are going from state to state and engaging in the gerrymandering that they're engaging in? Because when we pledged to D.C. and broke form when I was a freshman in the House, Nancy Pelosi was a boss then and is a boss now. It was weird. It's kind of scary. It's hard to, it's like your ring, like your ring, like look, she give you that look. Like Nancy had, anyway, the whole point is this. We fled the state of Texas. People didn't understand why. But we actually had some wins. We came back and that bill was not as bad as it was. Was it still bad? Absolutely. But shining the light and fighting, even in the minority, meant that we moved the needle. And when we went to D.C., because there was a fierce leader that had the gavel in her hand, Nancy Pelosi passed the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. She did. She passed that. She also passed the Freedom to Vote Act, which would have precluded somebody from being able to buy the election in 5 months. But nevertheless, she did both those things. Do y'all know why we don't have nice things when it comes to voting right now, though? The Senate. So when the Senate decided that its first target was going to be on the back of congressional districts in Texas, which did not seem like anything other than a coincidence to me, they decided that they were going to target really the person that has been probably the loudest opposition to this president. But by trying to get at me, they got at the people of Texas. They decided that African American voices would be reduced to 1/5 of that of their Anglo Texans brothers and sisters. They decided that Latino voices would be reduced to 1/3. And ultimately, after we went to court, I testified in the previous case that was already pending in front of this 3-judge panel down in El Paso. 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat. One of those Republicans is a Trump appointee. Nervous. But even that court, and even the Trump appointee, he wrote a 160-page opinion saying that this was intentionally racially discriminatory. He struck the match down. Now, y'all, do y'all know how bad it's got to be for a Trump appointee to strike it down? But he did. But you know who failed us? The Supreme Court. The Supreme Court didn't say that they weren't bad. The Supreme Court said, well, they already filed it, so we're going to let them go ahead and file for the bad acts. That was 4 days before the end of filing. That was the final straw. My attitude was, if you are going to come for our congressional House seats, then maybe I need to snatch your Senate seat. They have been so disrespectful in their legislation to anyone that is working class, not white, not male, not straight. There's been a target on everybody else's back.
Right.
Everybody else's back. How many of you heard of the SAVE Act?
Yeah.
The SAVE Act passed the House. So all the headlines are that the SAVE Act passed the House. It hasn't passed the Senate. It has not been signed into law. But it is allowing for confusion. And the SAVE Act was meant to target married women. It was meant to target women whose names had changed. Because basically, your husband can do all the voting for you. That's what they want. They don't want to fight fair. They don't want to talk about policies that are going to help you with health care, help you with education, help you with the cost of food or housing. They don't want to have those conversations. Instead, it is brute force. Donald Trump is running this country like he's a real gangster.
That's right.
And we still have people that are like, yeah, I'm headed to the State of the Union for what? For what? So we can sit there and pretend that this is normal and he lies in our faces? I'm going to pass. I'm going to give you the same amount of respect that you have given my constituents, which is absolutely none.
It's very difficult to moderate because I'm just so engrossed, so I don't even know what to ask next. No, I do have another question, but I also have a statement. I think being selected to moderate this conversation with you in this moment is so integral, because when we talk about divisiveness, and I do want to just speak directly to our progressives and liberals and Democrats in Tarrant County who are white liberal progressives, please do not let your whiteness betray you in this moment, because Congresswoman Crockett, your leadership is both transformative and has the opportunity to help us build something that we all desire and deserve. So to be an ally, to show up, that's actively showing up as an ally and challenging these things, because it actually isn't always on your shoulders to solve the divisiveness that you didn't create. So that is what I want Tarrant County voters to take away too, is we all have to show up for you, both at the polls, in the boardrooms, in the break rooms. We have to show up there. I want to ask you a question though, because I feel like we're just in the living room having a conversation. I didn't even know all these people were here. How are you going to get young people invested in the campaign once you officially become our nominee on March 4th?
Yes. So here's the deal. I don't really believe in talking at groups. I believe in actually engaging them. As y'all know Kendall, because all he do is claim Fort Worth. I'm like, sir, you do not represent Fort Worth. I'm going to need you to take that pen off before you get us in trouble. But I have consistently not just said, oh, I'm going to be a champion for young people, but instead have put them into position. Kendall is the highest ranking person in his age group on the Hill. Period. When I brought Kendall in, he was 20. He had just graduated from UNC. And there were people that told me I couldn't do it. And I was like, why? And they were like, well, because you know you don't have experience, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but last time I checked, my name is on the ballot. And so they were like, okay. Kendall is not the only. I actually hired 3 people that I knew and trusted that had interned for me, had worked on the campaign. some combination of the other. All three of them graduated college at 20. Two graduated from UC. And all three of them are heavily recruited. I'm like, what happened to that whole, I couldn't, bring them anything, right? They all are in powerful positions. So I don't believe in just kind of saying, oh, I'm going to figure it out as somebody that's a little older than the young people. I believe in having a seat at the table for them so that they can tell me directly. But I believe in having seats at the table in general for people. I'm pretty sure, I ain't checked anybody else's stats, but I would dare somebody to tell me that they have a more diverse team than I do. That is both in my office as well as on the campaign side. We have LGBTQIA members, we have Asian, we have Latino, we got Black, we got Jewish, we got white, we got everybody, okay? And frankly, it is because I look at qualifications, and as you talk about your allyship, and I appreciate you, honestly, I don't want to be judged on anything other than my qualifications. I'm not running because I am Black or because I'm woman. I'm running because I got a record. That's just what it is. I'm running because I am the most experienced person in this race. Okay. So let me just clarify the resume. I told y'all that we have to engage in depositions. Depositions is something that you do as a practicing attorney. Now that's something that y'all don't necessarily see because it doesn't get broadcast. But literally, I'm going to have to go to New York to engage in depositions with both former President Bill Clinton and Secretary Clinton next week as we're going through early voting because that's another part of my job. I've had to engage in depositions with Bill Barr, who's a former U.S. attorney, and frankly having somebody who's actually been in a courtroom, not just a licensed attorney, but been in a courtroom and actually done depositions before. Even our staff attorneys, many of them don't have actual courtroom experience. So I'm like, yo, he messing up your record. Like, we gotta clean this up because they don't understand that when you're creating a record, it's for litigation later. Like, that's not how, so literally, I'm even training some of our staff in D.C. But also, when it comes down to it, when you're looking at the U.S. Senate, every single judge who gets a lifetime appointment, they actually have to go through the U.S. Senate. So maybe we wouldn't have had an Eileen Cannon. Right. If I had my 2 minutes with her. Right? So they have to be vetted. And so being able to actually do that vetting, it matters. But more importantly, in this moment, we have a historic number of Democrats and Republicans, both on the House and Senate side, that are retiring because they don't understand how to operate in this moment. Right. Now, I'm not saying that this moment is easy, but at least y'all know exactly how I operate in this moment on the federal level. You know who I am, you know how I get down, and you know the legislation that I worked on now. I get that my clashes are what usually kind of takes front and center. It never goes viral when I work with somebody. But the reality is that in order to govern, you have to work with people. The reality is that Senator Cornyn has been attacked by Ken Paxton because me and Senator Cornyn have worked together. Walking into a general election, I get to walk in, and it is Ken Paxton. I get to be the most experienced attorney on the stage because he's also an attorney, I'm an attorney, but I'm the only one that actually has federal legislation, and so people don't have to guess at what I'm going to do. They can go and look at what I've been doing. That is an upper hand that I would have as it is to Ken Paxton. Now, going against John Cornyn, I'll be able to call him out as soon as he tries to play funny business with his record. Because I am up there in D.C. working every single day, and I know what he is and isn't doing. So, we just need to focus. We need to focus on things like actually increasing turnout, because there are those that challenge my strategy. But one thing that I know for sure, and I text the chair of the Democratic Party in Dallas to see if he had the breakdown. On the first day of early voting in Dallas, we saw a 300% increase. I told y'all that. So instead of seeing the normal 4,000 votes that we did, we got 12,000 votes. As relates to, no, that's right, that is. As relates to the 12,000 votes though, now here's the kicker. 45% of the voters on day one were staunch primary voters. The other 55% not so much. In fact, 20% of those voters were first-time voters. So there are those that think that it is a wild proposition to go after people that it felt like they have been forgotten, ignored, or just not cared about. I care. I connect with working class folks. I connect with people that are not okay with politics as usual. That is my strength as a candidate. And so to me, leaning in and grabbing those folk up and getting them involved, that is where the win comes from. When I talked to Stacey Abrams when I was trying to figure out should we, shouldn't we, I talked to someone who made sure that she was on the ground building the infrastructure. And I asked her, and the key to winning in Georgia wasn't that something different really happened in Georgia. It was that voter participation was up. That was what made the difference. They didn't go get a bunch of Republicans to flip, and that doesn't mean that Republicans won't be flipped. I don't want you to believe it. But I do believe that even when we look at in Miami, Florida, where they were able to flip the mayoral after 30 years, they flipped it. I talked to some of my colleagues and I said, what exactly did y'all do in Miami? They said, to be honest, Republican turnout was down. That's what they said. In a state like Texas, you have to understand that being a Republican, for some people, is literally a part of their identity. And so to have somebody say, go against who it is that you are, that's difficult. Now, there are those that are saying that they're fed up. In fact, when I landed in Austin on yesterday, there was a woman, as we were getting off the flight, and we landed in Austin, so I'm thinking, she's probably on the right side of history. You know, it's Austin. She don't live in Austin, she was just coming. And she told me, she said, keep up the good work. And I said, oh, okay, no, thank you. She said, I'm a lifelong Republican, but not no more. There are people that are waking up, but they're waking up on their own. And they will come around because we are all in the same sinking ship. We are all struggling. If they invade Iran, it is going to be everybody's mamas, brothers, sisters, cousins, uncles. It's not going to be on partisan lines of who has to actually go over there and fight a war that nobody asked for. We are all experiencing the higher cost of housing, the higher cost of insurance. I mean, when Marjorie got fed up, it was over the insurance premiums. We are all experiencing this. So the people that are going to come home, they're going to come home. But they're going to come home because they are tired. But what we need to do is not neglect our base. We have to excite them, we have to engage them, and we've got to get them out. And frankly, right now, it looks like they're coming, and I couldn't be more excited.
You brought up, and our boss is letting us know, our boss is Kendall, that we've got to make this last question quick. So, but you brought up Iran and invading Iran and Fort Worth being the home to so many veterans, our Joint Reserve Base, our VA hospital. Can you close out our conversation with talking about how do you think with the recent changes at the VA that it'll affect our veteran population here in Texas?
It's already been like that. You know, so I have one of the largest VAs in the country is actually the one that's in my district. And Texas is home to more veterans than any other state. So for whatever veterans that I know, I got some in here. Know that we are. Thank you for your service. So there's a lot of layers to this. One that I'll start with so that we can kind of talk about another general issue that I didn't touch on, which is the Department of Education. How many nurses do I have? So we've been experiencing a shortage as it relates to the healthcare industry and our healthcare professionals for a while, ever since the pandemic. We really were in a bit of a shortage before the pandemic, and then there was the burnout that happened as it relates to the pandemic. So I can remember having conversations at my local VA about the things that they were trying to do to get more nurses, because you can't just go to nursing school and then just put the nurse on the floor. It don't work that way. And so I actually even engaged in international trips. Thailand actually, and they actually produce a lot of nurses. So anyway, I have looked into healthcare in general way before even this administration got in and further exacerbated our issues. So some of the issues that come specifically from this administration as it relates to the Department of Education, they decided to downgrade nursing degrees, meaning that it's going to be even more difficult for us to get the nurses that we need into positions that we already were understaffed for, because the funding will not be there for the degrees because they downgraded the degrees. Okay, so you got that part. Then, when it comes down to it, the funding, we have seen the cuts that have been so deep in general. They were consistently going after, you remember all the layoffs, right? Remember the Doge, right? Elon, Doge, and everybody, right? I served on the Doge subcommittee that was led by Marjorie, actually. Anyway, it was led by Marjorie, and, you know, since Elon has exited stage left, we've not had a hearing. I'm actually supposed to have my first Doge hearing when I get back next week, maybe. So here it is, they were already getting rid of workers at the VAs. So I actually, because I love receipts, because I need y'all to know, I don't say I'm experienced, I've been doing the work before I was running. There ended up being a little back and forth with me and the secretary, because I sent a letter and was trying to start an investigation as relates to the workforce shortages that they decided to mandate across the federal government, how that was specifically impacting the level of care to our veterans. What was the delay as it relates to procedures because of this? We asked for all of this data because I don't like to go on vibes, give me facts. So they didn't want to give me facts. So we have that. And then the final piece that further complicates this and to me makes this so problematic is when we went through reconciliation, which was the big ugly bill, they decided to cut $1 trillion out of the healthcare ecosystem. So they cut out Medicaid and Medicare benefits, and then they also went after SNAP benefits, which we've not talked about that a lot. And this was also that they could give tax cuts to the top 1%ers. We have to reverse that. If you Google it, you will see that this was the largest transfer of wealth from the working class to the 1%ers in the history of this country. So that wealth gap that was starting to shrink under the Biden-Harris administration is widening. It is widening. And so with them cutting access to health care, how many of your health insurance premiums went up? Yeah. So a lot of people thought that had to do with the Affordable Care Act, tax subsidies. It's yes and no. The reason that your premiums were set to go up was because when they cut that $1 trillion, somebody was going to have to make up for it. So we're paying for it. Because your hospital doesn't stay open just by itself because of your insurance. It's everybody has to pay into the pot. So in order for that hospital to stay open, they got to make sure that they're charging more money so that they can keep the doors open. They just added insult to injury when they also allowed for the tax subsidies under the Affordable Care Act to expire. So premiums went up, and then basically you also were stuck with the bill for the subsidy. They decided they didn't want to deal with anymore. These are real issues that our veterans are going to be facing as it relates to their health care as a whole, but I did decide to expand my answer to talk about health care in general for all of y'all, because Texas has already led the country in uninsured as it is. Lloyd Doggett has a great bill that I've been on ever since I got to Congress. This is all, listen, go visit JasmineForUs.com because I work really hard on these issues. I need y'all to see these issues where I also have these receipts. We've got proposals that I worked on for housing. We've got proposals that I worked on for farmers and ranchers. I served on the agriculture committee way before I was running, so I know those issues. We've got proposals that I worked on for education, student loans. We got proposals for, we don't have concepts of plans, y'all. We got real plans to use. So I want y'all to check it out. I also want to say keep the faith. The best part about this country is the people, not necessarily the leaders. Don't let them get you down. We are better than they could ever hope to be. We have corruption at the highest levels, but that is not a reflection of us, that is a reflection of them. We are going to show them that we are better than this, and that at this very moral time in our country, we are going to stand on the right side of history.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. I can't speak for everybody, but I'll just speak from my point of view. You have made so many of us feel seen and protected and safeguarded, and you've brought humanity back into a space where it's been depleted. Thank you so much for your time, for being here, and to our next senator, Jasmine Crockett.